Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jessica Rodriguez, and I'm the Industry Engagement Officer for the Data Science Institute here at Columbia University. Today's seminar is in iCubed, which stands for Institute, Industry, and Innovation. These seminars connect our industry affiliates to our students into the larger Columbia community to explore topics at the forefront of industry. We invite data scientists, engineers, and researchers from our affiliate partners to give a talk about a recent project, case study, or the data science work they are engaging with in their field. During these educational events, we encourage attendees to ask questions via the chat and the Q&A feature, and we'll be happy to address them towards the end. Today's talk is titled The Digital Customer Experience Transformation Journey. In today's discussion, in this session, Zehra Syeda-Sarwat, Senior Director, Business and Innovation Strategy at Microsoft, will share Microsoft's approach to the driving customer journey transformation, sharing key insights from Microsoft's own transformation journey, and share key customer success stories where Microsoft helped global enterprises execute digital transformations that delivered innovation and never seen before customer experiences. And with that, I would like to welcome Zehra to begin her talk. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, team. So excited to be here today. My name is Zehra Syeda, and I'm the Senior Director for Business and Innovation Strategy at Microsoft. Just a little bit about me. I am a Pakistani Canadian American. I've had the good fortune of living and traveling around the world, and it has really taught me the importance of diversity. I have over 22 years of experience in technology. I've worked for some of the largest tech companies in the world. I'm a mom of a wonderful young man who's 15 years old, and he's pursuing a career in, well, academics and healthcare. I'm a founder and accredited startup investor, a writer and a speaker, and I publish blogs quite frequently on Medium, and I also participated in writing the book, Reaching Cloud Velocity. And so today I'm going to talk to you about how Microsoft drove its own transformation and improved customer experience with a mission to establish itself as the world's most customer-centric organization, but also how are we helping our customers completely revamp their customer experience and engagement channels across the globe. We're going to first talk about the market and consumer behavior. We're going to talk about Microsoft's mission, the key ingredients for success that we applied. And then we're going to dive a little deeper into the actual transformation journey, what worked, what didn't work, and then I'll share with you some customer success stories. So let's talk about the market and what are we seeing today? And ultimately, team, there are 5 key areas where we feel that there is a constant and continuous change that's happening all around the world. Previously, years ago, change was discouraged. It wasn't common. But today, we're living in an era of constant global change. So if you think about shifting consumer behavior, the new generation of consumers, which is, quite frankly, this group right here, you are demanding that organizations that you do business with continue to provide quick, fast, seamless service. They continue to reduce time to value for you. They continue to completely revamp how they're engaging with you using digital channels. There is disruptive competition where digital startups continue to bring completely new engagement channels, new business models, new sources of revenue to the market. There are disasters and pandemics. We've seen the most numbers of hurricanes, floods, being reported all across the globe. And then, of course, we also saw how COVID completely changed the way we were living our lives and also how it impacted businesses. They had to rethink their supply chain, engagement channels, business continuity, disaster management. All of those pieces had to shift literally on the fly as these disasters and pandemics are hitting us. We have an ongoing, struggle with shifting regulations. As regulations continue to change, enterprises and large global organizations are trying to keep up. And then there is economic turmoil, which we're all experiencing today, where we're seeing a lot of global unrest. There are wars, and that is really impacting all of us, but also businesses as they try to keep up and continue to sustain their businesses across the globe. And so we know that those that will not adopt to all of these changes quickly and seamlessly will simply perish. So if you look at the S&P stats, quite frankly, what the data tells us is that in 1958, the lifespan of a typical S&P incumbent large global enterprise used to be for about 61 years. That reduced to 18 years in 2011, and it's continuously declining. So ultimately, at this given rate, 75% of S&P incumbents are going to fall off the list by 2027. And what that literally means is that businesses, large global businesses specifically, are declining. And ultimately for these businesses, and pretty much all of them all across the world, whether it's a startup or a large global enterprise, customer experience is at the forefront of the conversation. 30% of consumers today say that they will walk away with a brand that they love based on a single bad experience. And we know that with social media, a single bad experience can be published and distributed all across the globe within seconds. And so there are basically no room for errors anymore. 54% of consumers say most companies need to improve their customer experience. So this tells us that we all have a long way to go. This is going to be at the forefront of our strategic priorities, and we have a lot of work that needs to happen. And 90% of decision makers say that customer service is critical to customers' choice of loyalty to brands. So ultimately, how we engage with customers is really going to help us retain existing customers, but also impact how we go and acquire new customers and expand our business. And at Microsoft, our case for change, our case to transform and become a customer-centric organization was pretty much an easy one. And as you can see here, Satya Nadella, our CEO, said, our success is dependent on our customer success, and we need to obsess about that, listening and then innovating to meet their unmet and unarticulated needs. And so as we saw how the market is shifting and that we needed to become customer-centric, our CEO started to drive that transformation messaging. We really came down to 3 key ingredients for success. And honestly, folks, these 3 ingredients will drive success in any kind of transformation, whether it is focused on transforming customer experience, whether it is focused on technology adoption, culture change. You really need these 3 things to ensure that a large organization or a small organization is able to drive transformation successfully. The first piece is executive sponsorship. Without executive sponsorship, really driving transformation, really removing roadblocks becomes almost impossible. You need to have the most senior leaders engaged. They need to be vocal champions, not just sponsors, but active participants who are helping remove roadblocks, who are helping drive messaging, communicating, repeating, and really making sure that the vision and the mission for the transformation is super crisp and is resonating with the organization. At Microsoft, our executive sponsor is the CEO, Satya Nadella, to help establish Microsoft as the world's most customer-centric organization. The second ingredient is that you definitely need a dedicated team. So if you don't have a one throat to choke or one team that's ultimately accountable for driving that mission, it's not going to be successful, because ultimately when it's everyone's job to do certain things, it's nobody's job. You really need to have a team that is focused, accountable, and assigned and chartered and missioned with driving that transformation program. And at Microsoft, that is Mala Anand, who joined Microsoft a couple of years ago, and she is the CVP for customer experience and success. And then the third ingredient is you really need a winning and compelling strategy, which is bold, ambitious, and it really compels everyone in the organization to let go of the past, let go of the legacy processes, and think about the future. It really should inspire the organization and the employees to think differently, act differently, and then have a solid game plan and execution plan that helps drive everyone towards a common goal. And at Microsoft, our strategy is the connected customer experience strategy that really enables us and ignites innovation and customer-centric approach across the organization globally. Before we started building the strategy, folks, we wanted to make sure that if we intend and inspire to be customer-centric, that even as we build that strategy, we start with the customer. And so it was important for us not to assume what the customer wants, but to actually go and ask them and get the data and the anecdotes to confirm or disconfirm our assumptions, and really make sure we understand the customer and then work backwards from the customer as we build out our connected customer experience strategy. And so there were really 5 things that the customers said. They said that they don't need another tech vendor. They need a strategic partner who knows them, who can guide them and provide thought leadership to help them achieve their business outcomes. They wanted support from us, really make sure that as a strategic partner, we are there supporting them and helping them accelerate business value, who can help modernize them. So as large global enterprises continue to struggle with modernizing their legacy technology architecture and their processes, they really want their strategic partner to come in and help them accelerate that entire journey, and then ultimately help them transform, whether it is from a tech perspective, the architecture, the platforms, et cetera, or all the way to their people, culture, talent, and more. And that's when we took all of that feedback and built out our connected customer experience strategy. Our vision for this strategy, as I mentioned, is to establish Microsoft as the world's most customer-centric organization. Our mission is to co-create and deliver differentiated customer experiences across Microsoft's product and service portfolio and engagement channels, and that includes digital channels and human, and to consistently delight customers, nurture trust, and exceed expectations. And then we established 3 core objectives, which is to earn customer trust, build long-term relationships, and nurture customer loyalty, help customers materialize business value, leveraging Microsoft technology and expertise, and then deliver differentiated disruptive experiences that accelerate customer outcomes and reduce time to value. There were really 2 core drivers for customer experience that we focused on when it was really about how do we now take this strategy and execute it across the organization. And it really came down to product development and engagement channels. So when you think about product development, it really starts with, what is the product going to solve for the customer? Why are we developing this product? And we wanted to make sure that we create a flywheel approach when it comes to product development lifecycle that is focused on customer centricity. And so our features, we had to make sure that every time we're developing a product and ideating and experimenting, every single feature really empower Microsoft to deliver a differentiated experience in the marketplace when it comes to customers consuming the product. We wanted to make sure that we are leveraging data that informs our decisions throughout the entire product development lifecycle. So it's not necessarily based on decisions made by a few folks, but it's really deeply rooted into data that's coming not only from the customer, but the market and other sources as well, to really ensure we have a holistic view. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that we are incorporating customer feedback. So again, going back to the earlier point I made on, we didn't want to assume what the customer wants. We want to make sure that we are continuously engaging with the customer and asking them what they want to confirm or disconfirm our assumptions. So in order to do that, we've developed a customer advisory board. This is a group of customers that are cross-segment, cross-industry, meaning folks from all various different industries. And we work with them to get feedback and to ask them that, hey, what's working, what's not working, when there is a new product coming down the pipeline, what are the features that are really going to help them solve their business problems, et cetera. And we really take that feedback and ensure that it's incorporated in every stage of product development. It really came down to 5 key best practices on how to really make sure that our product development lifecycle is customer-centric. The first one is building product around customer experience versus customer experience around product. And what that really is about is, generally in the past, what most companies had done is they would come up with a product to solve a problem. And then once the product is ready, they would start working with customers to drive adoption, to experiment, and so on. But by then it's too late to really make major changes to the product in order to enhance customer experience. While experimentation can help identify changes that need to be made, those changes are usually made over time and slowly. And so what we did is that we're driving an active shift in our product development lifecycle to really make sure that customer experience is not an afterthought. It's really embedded in all stages of product development from the get-go. So when we start ideating, when we start developing the MVP, which is a minimum viable product, that is really when we're encouraging teams to start thinking about customer experience, because that's the best time where we can tweak and modify products as we're building them to ensure that once the customer actually starts consuming them, not only does it solve the original problem that we intended to solve, but it also delivers the best possible customer experience. The second item is solving for all, solves for none. So what that means is it's really about ensuring that when we're developing a specific product, it is extremely focused on solving the most important problems for customers. So it doesn't necessarily solve everything, but it's really going to be pointed and focused on specific problems that customers need help with. And that really enables the teams to ensure that we're developing the right product. Otherwise, when you try to solve for everything, you really dilute the value of the product and the value of the solution that you're bringing to the market. Thinking big, starting small. That is a big one because what we found is when it comes to developing and bringing products to the market, a lot of times we want to go big. And sometimes we are, due to competitive pressures, et cetera, there is high pressure to bring products to the market. And sometimes there have been instances where a lot of products required updates, et cetera, which they always will. But what we wanted to do is really make sure that we take an iterative approach. And what that means is as soon as we start ideating, we develop a minimum viable product, experiment with it with a small set of customers to really test it out and make sure that if there are any enhancements or updates required, we catch them early on in the product development lifecycle and then continue to release in phases. Now, of course, that approach is not applicable to every single product. It really depends on the idea and the product we're delivering and developing, but think big and start small really helps us ensure that we take an iterative approach that enables us to capture customer feedback earlier in the life cycle. Make it self-serve. That is a big one again, because it's really important that anywhere possible, we ensure that products are self-serve for customers and they can adopt it, embrace it, start using it as quickly as possible with the least amount of help needed. And then reduce time to value. That's really all about ensuring that our speed to market and also our speed to helping our customers and solving their problems continues to decrease. We want to become faster, more efficient, and definitely, ultimately, more agile for our customers. So that was more focused on the product development lifecycle. Let's talk about the engagement channel. So if you recall, I talked about the two core drivers, product development and then engagement channels when it comes to applying the connected customer experience strategy. And so the 4S is what I call the engagement channels, which is really about sell, serve, support to drive success. These are really the 4 ways that an organization typically would engage with consumers and customers. And our focus was really to make sure that we are driving a connected customer experience across all these 4 channels. And then, of course, we've got a digital aspect and a human aspect. So let's talk about the digital and human. Quite obvious, the digital piece is, leveraging technology to really make sure that we engage with customers through technical channels like, online, emails, blah, 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 to do selling, serving, support, and success. More of a self-serve methodology there. But it was really important that that entire engagement channel and the experience for customers is smooth, is enjoyable, and customers are able to achieve what they're looking for super fast with the most minimum amount of clicks, which means that they don't have to go looking for the information. It's right there. They go, they get it, they're done. The humanizing aspect, and I, very intentionally call it humanizing an engagement channel, because what we've tried to do here is really focus on empathy, focus on understanding customer needs, and really making sure that we are working and trying to solve customer problems and putting their needs in the center of everything that we do, whether it is to sell, to serve, to support, or drive success. So for example, right now with the economic turmoil, most customers are trying to reduce cost. And that's really our mission as well. What we're trying to do is help them identify opportunities on how they can reduce costs and survive through this economic turmoil that everyone is experiencing. So it's really about focusing on how can we help customers, how can we be more empathetic, how can we connect with them, understand their business objectives, and really make sure that across our 4 engagement channels, we are putting customer at the center of our approach. And ultimately, the digital or the humanizing aspect is really about giving customers an easy button, right? It's really about if they're going through an issue, if they have a problem, they can leverage any of these channels and they have an easy button right then and there. When you think about selling, it's really about how are we positioning our products and how do we ensure that our products that we're positioning to our customers are going to help them achieve a specific business outcome. So really about putting business value at the center of our sales approach. So we did transformation there. Serving is really about ensuring that as customers purchase our products and services, the experience that they have as they adopt the product and service, as they onboard onto the platform, is a seamless one and is an easy one. So we have an entire team that helps customers really make sure that as customers try to integrate the product or service that they have purchased with their existing environment, that entire process is well planned, well thought out, and is a seamless experience. In support, pretty obvious, it's really about ensuring that once the customers have adopted a product, a service, and if there are any break fix issues, they have support right then and there to help them resolve the issue. And then, of course, we believe that all of these drive customer success, but not only that, we have built out a customer success team, and these are dedicated individuals on customers who literally help customers make sure that they're getting the right sales, support, and service from Microsoft that is delivering or accelerating business value for that customer. So that's literally their job, is to ensure that the customer is able to achieve success leveraging Microsoft's technology. So let's dive a little deeper into some customer success stories. And ultimately, team folks, we talked about our own transformation journey and how we are going to continue to become more and more customer-centric. But not only that, we are actually working with customers and helping them become more customer-centric. One of the ways we did that is at Vodafone. We partnered with them where they were looking at how can they engage with their customers quickly, efficiently, and really ensure that as they engage with hundreds and thousands of customers across the globe, they're able to help their customers achieve solutions to their problems faster. So they actually worked with Microsoft, we partnered with them, and then we helped them build out an entire digital engagement channel, and we helped them build out their bot called Toby, who is actually the digital channel that helps them engage with their customers to achieve solutions to a problem much faster. And as Kevin Knowles, who is the leader of Care Transformation Program at Vodafone, says, that it was clear that Microsoft was a great fit for what we were looking for. We needed a flexible, scalable, natural language understanding solution that could match our growth ambitions for Toby. It was essential that tools would be easy to use for the conversational designers in our business, built upon a modular technology to support our ambition to make Toby the biggest chatbot in the world. And this is really important, team, because this chatbot, it was really important that Vodafone is able to support customers globally, which means that, as you can imagine, the few key challenges that they were experiencing included language, culture, etc. So it wasn't just about leveraging technology and creating a digital channel. It was also about applying the human aspect on top of that, and really ensuring that we are building in empathy, we are building in the different needs based on geography into technology and the algorithms to really ensure that customers for Vodafone have the best experience possible as they leverage this specific service. Another example is at NBA. We are partnering with them as they continue to consume Azure and AI to really create specific disruptive experiences for their fan base. And as Charlie Rolfe, Associate VP, Stats Technology Product Development at NBA says, we've always been sitting on a lot of data, but we needed Azure and AI to unlock its potential and find the interesting nuggets in those billions of data points. So at NBA today, there are hundreds and thousands of data exchanges that are happening between fans as they continue to leverage digital channels to interact. So NBA released multiple apps on how to engage with their fans, how to keep them engaged, between games, etc. And that generated, as you can imagine, lots and lots of data. And it was really about how do we then leverage that data to parse out and continuously improve experiences for fans. So it was all about leveraging the right technology, applying AI on top of that, and then identifying for NBA, what is it that fans are looking for? What are the trends and patterns that we can capture and gather within minutes using Microsoft technology? And then enabling NBA to use that data, those patterns that we were identifying, so they can continuously provide fans with the best possible experience. Coming back to Microsoft team, we do believe that transformation is never ending. It's not something that we're going to do and then stop. We will continue to have a mission to become customer-centric. We are very fortunate and we believe we are leaders in customer centricity in the market today, but it's definitely not something that we're gonna stop pursuing as a mission. We will continue to transform. It is going to be never-ending endeavor. We're gonna continue to bring disruptive, unique experiences to our customers, and we're gonna continue helping our own customers identify disruptive ways they can help their customers to increase their business, accelerate growth, and drive customer loyalty and retention. Well, I hope that was helpful. I would love to take any questions. And so, Jessica, perhaps I can hand it back to you.
Yes. Well, yes. That was great. Thank you so much for this talk and walking us through actually very interesting case studies. So, if anybody has any questions, please drop them into the Q&A chat. That would be wonderful. And in the meantime, I know you told us a little bit about your career trajectory and how you got, well, a little bit about where you've been and everything, but it would be great to hear a little bit about how data science has shaped or modeled the way that your trajectory has moved forward.
Absolutely. I mean, data is really at the heart of, how we are leveraging technology and how we're driving decisions. So when it came to strategy, whether business strategy or innovation strategy, one of the things that we really focused on is we wanted to narrow down what are the most important voices of data that we want to listen to even before we start building the strategy. So we came up with 5 or 6 key areas. So one of them is market analysis. So understanding the trends and patterns that are going on in the market today and having the ability to understand those trends to predict where the market is going in the future. Customer, pretty obvious as I talked about it, it was all about understanding customer feedback, building out a customer advisory board, really ensuring that we're hearing all voices across all levels of the organization as much as possible, and then embedding that feedback into product development, but also engagement channel optimization. Partner voices, that's the third. Definitely we think partners are a very important domain for us. It really is the only way we can scale. We have a global network of partners. We have amazing partners who have helped us deliver solutions to our customers. We co-create with them, we co-sell with them, we support them, they support us. It's a wonderful relationship. And it was really important to ensure that we have partner data and anecdotes that we are capturing so that we can also include that as we build our strategy for customer experience transformation. The fourth one is field. And what I mean when I say field, these are the teams that are actively supporting our customers day in and day out. So think of folks who are working with customers. They're the first, line, frontline, folks who, partner with customers, et cetera. And so it was important that we continue to listen to the field voices. What are the problems that they're experiencing? What slows them down? What are they hearing from customers? How can we help them improve their productivity? So gathering data and anecdotes from field was important. And the last two are operational and competitive. So understanding the competitive landscape, what are our competitors doing? How do we stack up against them when it comes to things like support? What can we do better? How can we really make sure that we are building competitive advantage into our approach? And then, of course, operational is about really collecting data operationally on how we're doing across all of the key areas. And then, Jessica, combining these 6 areas of data and insights really drives a very powerful approach when it comes to identifying key transformation programs that we need to run to enhance customer experience globally.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that very thorough response. And some of our students are very interested. Let's see. I'm so sorry. We've got a question that came in the chat. Now there's a lot of data analysis methods, but it seems that all the data is based on the past data to simulate the future trends. But in real life, there are many uncontrollable factors may make the accuracy become very low. May I ask how you would balance the relationship between these?
This is a wonderful, wonderful question. And this is something that we are, thinking about and talking about today in our organization. I mean, look at COVID. Nobody saw that coming, right? So if you completely depend on historical data, we're completely blind to things that are coming. So, and as I talked about it, right? Like if you look at disasters and pandemics, tsunamis, et cetera, were rare. It wasn't as frequent as it is now. So I do think, this question is so relevant because things that happened in the past can help us predict what would happen in the future. But at the same time, we also have to ensure that we are ready for things that we didn't see coming. And that's the hardest part. How do you plan for things that you simply didn't see coming? And honestly, I don't have an answer to that today, because data modeling is usually about, as they say in the question, it's about looking at historical data, identifying the patterns, and then driving prediction. I think there is, I can give you a personal answer, which may or may not be applicable or the right answer, but I do think there is leadership foresight. And what I mean by leadership foresight is a great leader is able to predict things simply based on not just data, but their own experiences, understanding as well. So I think looking at data is important, but you also have to almost build an equation where you've got data, you've got leadership foresight, where there are certain leaders who are able to predict the future quite accurately, honestly, without sometimes data, right? And they are able to see things that perhaps others were not seeing. And sometimes what leadership foresight does is they're even able to change the course of the future by bringing something super disruptive to the market that nobody thought of, nobody saw coming. So while disasters and pandemics are more the uncontrollables, I think leadership foresight really gives us the ability to look at what are the controllables and how can we not just rely on data, but even think about what are the things we can do to completely change the course of the future. I hope that's helpful, but like I said, this is an area where we don't have the right answer, black and white today. It's quite gray.
We actually got a thank you for the answer. It's inspiring the questioner a lot. So I think it was, I was like, no, this makes absolute sense. Odette Netzer, one of our professors in the business school, just published a book with some co-authors called Decimals Over Decisions, or Decisions Over Decimals, which is the combination of the use, as you're talking about, of intuition and data. And students, I don't know if you're aware of that book having come out from the business school, but it has to do with data science and business experience and acumen and how those two are married. That's wonderful. We have another question. What are the attributes of the PhD user experience researcher to best contribute to the process that you are describing? Would it be more the qualitative research, customer engagement, the quantitative capacities, or other skills?
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience, not being a PhD candidate myself. I'm inspired by folks, who are these candidates. I think but I just don't want to give you incorrect information. So I apologize. I'm not sure what the right response to that would be. I don't want to misguide you.
Understandable. I'd rather have I apologize for the background noise.
No.
I'd rather have an answer where we're very honest up front than speculative leading. Thank you, though. And how do you deal with the imbalanced data? For example, fraud detection in the work?
Yeah, I think there are, I don't have a scientific response to that because, again, I'm not a data analyst at this time, but I do deal with probably a similar scenario, but not exactly the same scenario. And what I mean by that is, as the senior director for strategy, when it comes to business strategy and innovation, there are times when I am presented with, opportunities to make a decision where I don't have balanced data, meaning data isn't necessarily telling me what is the best course of action. I do have times where there is lack of data. I don't have enough data to be able to decide whether we should do X or Y. And I'm really responsible for driving those decisions, but also influencing senior leadership at Microsoft to agree with those decisions, gain executive sponsorship, and then implement them. And these are very large decisions that would really kind of set the organization on a path when it comes to customer experience. And it really comes down to, I think, again, that equation of data, but then applying leadership foresight and thought process. You know, and that really comes, I think, with experience. You know, there is no compression algorithm for experience, as Andy Jassy at Amazon says. You know, that's really something where experience shines, where you are able to make grounded, well decisions, even when there is imbalanced data or lack of data. But the important piece is making the call. I think I'm a firm believer that lack of decision making is sometimes worse than making a wrong decision. Of course, that's, you know, it depends on the situation. It depends on what we're talking about. But I've tested this theory, this principle, and it's really about looking at data, looking at all the information you have, and thinking about doing that risk analysis. You know, if we do X, what is the worst outcome? Is it a two-way door decision? Meaning we can go through the door, but come right back, right? What is the risk here? But then based on that, making the call, I think that's really important. I think lack of decision-making sometimes does a lot more harm. So I hope that was helpful. Probably not the scientific approach and the scientific answer that you were looking for, but I wanted to just share how I approach that scenario.
No, and your approach to these scenarios is important, because I think that the role that you are in, and students are thanking you for the insights, and they are great insights. I think actually one of our students asked a question right now that I was going to ask, but they articulated it so much better than me. If I intend to be in senior leadership position like yourself, currently being a data scientist, what attributes are important? How do you compare business experience versus data analysis skills? So that was going to be my question. How, if our young students are going into the workforce being pure data scientists, but they envision themselves as trying to get to a point where they're in senior leadership and able to influence and do things, what do you recommend for them, or what thoughts do you have on guiding that trajectory for them?
Absolutely. I think the skill that you have being a data scientist is irreplaceable. It is gold, because you are able to get to the depth of the problem so quickly. You know, so it's important to continuously nurture that, continuously optimize that, keep learning. Never stop going to school, because, you know, always try to pick up courses that you can where you think it's going to help optimize that skill. But at the same time, there are a few things you can do to become a better leader, which is the one thing that really helped me was get mentors, right? I've had some of the most incredible mentors throughout my life. You know, it's important that if you know somebody who you aspire to be like, ask them if they would be willing to mentor you and spend maybe an hour with you every month. You know, come up with some sort of an engagement model that is not too heavy for them, that is doable for them, but also think about how will you add value, right? It really should be a two-way relationship. So think about that. Think about what kind of partnership you can develop with them and learn from them. Be very specific about, you know, what are the pieces you want to learn from them. And the other piece would be self-awareness. I think self-awareness really helps us understand our weaknesses and our strength. We all have weaknesses, we all have strengths. All leaders do, no matter if they're running global businesses or, you know, any other role. But if you know, and if you are humble enough to be vocally self-critical, that these are the areas where it's a weakness, then you know how to manage your weaknesses. Then you know how to ensure that you can leverage your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, or you can build a path to eliminate your weaknesses. So for example, if it's a skill that you're missing, you can go and learn that skill, right? And eliminate that weakness. So it's really about self-awareness, getting a mentor, and then the third piece would be ask. Be bold, ask, take those assignments, take those leadership roles, whether it's volunteer leadership roles, like putting yourself in that position where you are a leader is really the only way to learn and build experience. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much. No, that's wonderful response. Thank you. And thank you so much to our participant for asking that. And their follow-up question is, how do you convince people to listen to the data? If you have any insights, how do you convince people to listen to the data and use that to factor into things?
Yeah, I think, it's really twofold. The one piece is, I do think data can be biased. And it really comes down to, I love to dive deep. And I'm responsible for market research and analysis. So the 6 voices that I talked about, market, customer, partner, competition, ops, field. Within my team, I have research analysts who pull together that data and pull together a research report that really informs our strategy for future year. And we try to do that exercise, at least twice a year. We definitely want to do it more often. But ultimately, I like to dive deep and understand 2 things. One is, how did we calculate the data? And I know that's going down into the nitty-gritty. And why this data and these metrics versus something else? And my team now knows that those are the questions I'm going to ask for, because what I'm really looking for is what I call a watermelon syndrome. And a watermelon syndrome is red on the inside and green on the outside, which is, it looks green, everything looks pretty and nice, but it's red. When you really dive deep and when you really kind of ask the right pointed questions, it's red. And what I'm trying to do is really make sure that researchers and data analysts it's not just about pulling together numbers. I do think there is a huge responsibility to make sure that the data is not telling a biased story, where, a biased story that perhaps you yourself may have a bias towards. How do you bring data to the table without having any opinion, any vested interest on what decision that data would enable? And that's hard to do. We're all human. And, all of us are working on, I'm sure at this university, it's inspiring what students do. They're working on some of the biggest problems in the world. And it's really difficult not to get invested emotionally and not to, start looking for data that may end up telling a biased story. So I do think it's important to focus on that. But then the question on, how do you then ensure that people are looking at that data? Once we've ensured that, yes, this data makes sense, it's non-biased, it's going to drive the right decision, then, in my role, it's important for me to continuously set expectations with my senior leadership team, that we leverage that data to drive decisions. And when that doesn't happen, as a leader, you should be able to demonstrate enough. There was a leadership principle at Amazon that I learned, having a backbone. So you got to have that backbone. You got to be able to say, we made this decision, or we're making this decision, but the data is telling us X. Let's have a discussion on why do we still think that is the decision we should go with. And it comes down to how you present yourself, how you communicate that. So you're not necessarily, we're all human, challenging authority. You don't want to do that. But at the same time, you are hired and you are on that table because that is your job. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So it's not just about bringing data to the table. I think making sure that it's non-biased and making sure that it's being used and using your voice, identifying champions within that group who will support that. That's a strategy to ensure that that data actually gets used.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that response. I know we're coming up on time, but there was one more question in the chat. I hope we have a minute to do that. What are your thoughts on delivering immersive experiences for the future of work and play with the reference to recent partnership of Meta and Microsoft and Microsoft 365? Where are we heading in the next 2 years, in your opinion?
I am so excited about that partnership. I think that is, immersive experiences are going to be part of our lives, whether work or play. We already know the answer, I think, to this. I think the answer is, we're heading towards a world where immersive experiences are going to drive not just entertainment and work. I personally believe it's going to drive all aspects: education, probably healthcare, and other industries. And of course, if you think about customer experience specifically, immersive experience is going to completely change that. So it's really going to change the way we live our lives, and it's going to become, it's almost like how we're using our phones today. We use our phones not just to make calls and connect with people, we're using it for everything. And that wasn't the case 20, 30 years ago. I do believe immersive is going to change all aspects of our life. As far as where are we heading, we're excited about the partnership. We are thrilled. We're looking forward to, further building a relationship with Meta, and can't wait to, bring more disruptive experiences to consumers.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we are at time, but I wanted to thank you so much for this talk. It's been very insightful. It's a unique approach for our student population and our Columbia population to learn about data science out there in the workforce in the field. We've got more thank yous from our students asking questions, and we hope you'll be back. We know this is your second iCubed, and we hope that you'll be back and that you'll participate with us on campus. And I know our students will be eager to connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's always so much fun, participating at Columbia events. And yes, I can't wait to be back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody.
Stay safe all. Cheers.